Good morning, everyone. How are we all doing?
Morning.
Let's morning. Let's let everyone get in the room, and then let's take off from there. Very excited for what we're going to get into today. And I'm not just saying that. I'm never just saying that, but specifically, here we got everyone coming in. All right. As usual, post a win about something you used the program for this week that translated into something beneficial to your restaurant and or life. By all means. All right. Post your win. If you don't know to win, you're not going to have many of them. So it's important to note them for yourself. All right. Everyone's taking their time to do that. So what we're going to cover today is something that uh, many people have requested, and I took it over to this last weekend and created a template for anyone here to use for manager training. So we are going to go into that for the next 4 weeks. Each week, we're going to go into one part of it. I'm going to show you how to lead a manager training, and you will have all of the manager training that I use that I have sent through and created its own unique document, taken out every single reference to my restaurant, and you will be able to put in your own restaurant's information in there. Huzzah! So you are going to be able to train your leadership team as I train mine and have the benefit of that. Sound cool? All right. Other wins here. Huge Friday while staff. Program helped me deal with some bad reviews. I'll take that, Wes. Piper, finishing up design for holiday offerings, space and menus. Just sent the docs off to the printers for first. Omar walked away from a restaurant project, lost a grant for 380K, but it was a win because I feel so less stressed without the $2 million project on my plate. I bet a 2 mil project is not anything to shake a stick at, Omar. All right. Mike Spriggs received a call Friday that our loan process was finally moving after 3 weeks of not hearing from them. Hopefully, we'll hear this week. Mike, is that an SBA loan or a bank loan? I don't know if you
It's
can.
a it's a nonprofit. It's a development fund with
Okay.
natives and well anybody, but it's a nonprofit and they go through a process where we turned in. I used your performa for it, and they said we'd sent in one of the best projections or one of the best uh, whatever that they've seen. So they were pretty happy with it was realistic numbers. So thank
I'll
you.
take that. I'm happy to see that. And I appreciate that. I have, you know, sometimes restaurants are looking to open and they'll send in a business plan. I actually had a restaurant who's looking to do unsliced who's like, hey, we're looking to open. Here's our business plan. And they had 8 different documents, all of which heavy chat GPT. We're going to target people who are looking for a fun, exciting atmosphere. And they have a lot of this in there. And I can't emphasize enough how little a bank cares about that. A bank does not care about your dreams. They care about money. And if I'm glad that you got it with them and they could see that, and there you go. So looks like we have a lot of people in here. I'm going to go back up and look at these wins, and then we're going to jump into this training. Uh, open mic and plant nights went microphone went well this weekend. Revenue was good. Had a great Sunday booked out. The restaurant for a private event went great. Amy had our best Tuesday ×2 ever with the help of a private event. And Michael, my staff, took care of some maintenance that took place outside the restaurant but affects the restaurant. And Maria finally switched reservation systems from Talk to Open Table and saw a huge increase in reservations. That's interesting. All right, very cool. All right, so here is the document. Everyone ready for it? Bated breath. I'll put it in the chat. This is going to go in the program too. And here's what we're going to be doing. We are going to take this document, and as much as I'm going to put it in the program, you can look at it and have it. And if I see any edits or anything that's not clear, I'm going to revise it, and that's what's going to go in the final version that I'm going to put into the program as a resource. Now, I'm saying this, I'm doing it as a resource for one very particular reason. I do not feel this is unquestionably necessary for everyone in the program. And I will also very much seek the program of Unsliced to be everything you need and nothing you don't. So I don't want to have in there things that you just don't necessarily need and that clog up. I wouldn't want someone to be like, oh man, I haven't done manager training yet. I'm not ready to graduate this program. So that's why. But with that said, I could be wrong. And we are going to go through the first part of this. So without further ado. All right, everyone see this? Here is your new manager training. This is how I've designed this. I've designed this based upon what I saw staff needing. This is not a normal manager training. Just like most of the stuff I do is not predicated on what the world has done before. I've realized that before I can train a manager on how to do a checkout, it's pretty pointless if I don't have them thinking the way I want them to think and leading the way I want them to lead. Not managing, leading. So even though it's restaurant manager training manual, enter your name of your restaurant. Section 1, leadership theory and principle. Now, section 1, this is designed to be trained over the course of 4 days. I am going to go through this document for day 1 with all of you in about 22 minutes. This could be anywhere from a 4 to 6 hour training with your managers. So what you are going to go into, first and foremost, you're going to put your name all over this. Also, again, this is yours now. My decades of work to create this document now belongs to you. Huzzah. It's yours to manipulate to your brand. If you want to put your restaurant group or whatever, you want to put your logos on top of it, go to town. You want to make this a DocuSign? Have at. You don't want them to sign it? Huzzah. All clear? All right. Section 1, management welcome. So it's more of explaining what we're going to get into, that there's an expectation of growth, leadership theory, and then we get into a basic leadership plan, which is what I detail in Unsliced. So you are showing them, hey, at all times now, new leaders, we got to develop a plan, communicate it, and execute and follow through on that plan. Then I have the basic expectations of management. These are my basic ass expectations. It's not assumed unless you make it known, because assuming makes an ass out of them and the other people. Jokes. All right, so there will always be at least one manager. There will always be a supervisor on duty. Front of house manager will be there a minimum of 11 a.m. to 2. You want it to be different? You work a breakfast place? Again, modify this. Managers will work 2 peak days. Restaurant will be clean and organized. There are certain things that you can't make a whiteboard for. I can say all sorts of stuff like, hey, make sure you wipe this, clean that. But at the same time, if I walk in and they're like, well, we did everything and something's dirty, I'm like, you can't do that. And that's a basic expectation of management, is that you keep the place clean. Management must have a schedule. A lot of salary managers don't clock in. Screw that. Their ass needs to clock in and be documented so you know what they're working and when. Schedules are to be posted no later than Thursday night, preferably Wednesday. That's like the week before the week. Must abide by guest visitor policy outlined in the employee handbook, which you all have access to the employee handbook. Guest visitor policy says if they're not going to have their boyfriend there drinking a Diet Coke all night. That would be a visitor. A guest is when their family comes in and wants to eat a whole meal. That there will be a pre-shift every shift that you will manage by inspection, not exception. Then I get into a workbook activity. To engage a problem, resolve it, not just try to attend it once and quit. So anything large or small, give some examples of typical problems and atypical scenarios, surroundings, plan. This could be a catering. We have a catering. What's the plan? We're going to get the food out by 4. Communication of plan. They have a ticket. Result, they got it out by 4. Reaction, hold on, they were late because of this. Next steps. Also, you can make this bigger or smaller. This is a live document that you will have the copy file for and manipulate it however you see fit. You want to have more here, by all means, go for it. How is this formatted reaction different from other reactions? So it's saying, hey, are you being proactive or reactive? Does this approach work for everything? It does. I'll give you the answer. How would this apply to your personal life or work life? Again, assess that you need to take the kids to the school, whatever. A basic leadership plan will work for anything. That's the point I'm trying to get across. Then I explain leaders versus managers. Those who supervise those working under them are managers. People who could do things quickly and efficiently could even be considered good managers. All leaders are good managers. Not all good managers are leaders. A leader can look at a problem and see what makes it different, figure out the proactive measures that should be taken to solve it, and then ultimately make the situation right. You'll also see these things here, like Grammarly wants me to fix this, and then it takes my voice and makes it too milk toast. That's why I don't do that. Just so you know, I'm not opposed to good grammar, but sometimes it takes the punch out of the verbiage. A leader can determine what someone wants to hear versus what they need to hear, while never asking themselves the question, what do I want to say? It's very, very important when we're training new young managers, even if they're not young, that they understand that. Most youthful people want to be right, and they are deathly afraid of being wrong. In manager training, day 1, which is all theory, this is not how to do the drawer or how to close out. It's all theory. We need to break them of that. The doc, I'm going to put the doc link here. Someone asked for it again. All right, great. A leader is improvisational, savvy, thorough, and above all else, dedicated. 4 factors of leadership: the leader, the people that they're leading, the situation, and the communication to those people. So, honest understanding of what's going on, the different styles of leadership, the situation, communication. I can read all this. I highly suggest you read it 4 times over, understand it thoroughly. If you have a question about it, put it in the community, and then prepare yourself to train people on it. I'm going to come back and say this. How should you execute on this? Well, you have 2 managers that need this, 3, maybe it's 1. Clear out a dead day. For some of you, that's going to be a Saturday morning. For some of you, that's a Monday morning or Tuesday morning. Have them arrive at 8 a.m. Go through all this from 8 to, if you have 6 people, it should be like 8 to 2. You're going to stop and say, give me an example when you've done that. What do you think about that? And then get buy-in. Do not just read this document to them. It should be an ongoing conversation, and you don't move on to the next point until you are 100% clear everyone in that room understands each thing that you have said, because they've restated it back to you with examples in their own life. That's how we train. The 4 priorities of leadership at your restaurant. With all your tasks and miscellaneous activities, it's easy to take your eyes off the ball, no matter what needs to be cleaned, what report you need to file, what evaluations need to be done. These priorities below must come first. Adjust your personal checklist over these priorities is wrong and will lead to failure. One, food quality. So this means like, hey, don't do the schedule if the sauce is burning. Service, i.e., the customer. Customer is gold. Are they being attended to with a high level of customer service? The ambiance. A manager needs to make sure the heat's on, the windows are right, the chairs are clean, ambiance level stuff. If your managers are just, a lot of managers will put their head down in the sand like an ostrich and work the line, or they will go to the expo counter and then they won't engage with customers. We need to break them of that. Staff morale. Your managers need to give a shit about the staff being stoked, not liking them, but that they are into the job. So running errands, taking 2 hours to go to Costco or Sam's Club when you have most of the supplies in stock, if the whole kitchen runs sluggish due to the apathy about managerial indiscretions, the whole crew will be negative. Primary responsibility of managers is to ensure the staff is enthusiastic about the shift, get things done. They need to understand why things are done the way they are, and ultimately that what they do when things are left undone is not good. Leaders should never leave their team for an extended period of time, especially during peak times. This is essentially saying to managers, you're like, oh, we ran out of basil. Let me go to the store at 5 o'clock on a Friday. No, don't do that. The rules of money, 30% labor, 30% food, 3% growth, basic expectation. You might have it less, but that's my expectation is that we will hit these metrics. We want to beat these metrics, but holy shit, if we're not hitting these minimums. Then I get into the 6 leadership principles. These exist to create laws within any given organization. So 6 leadership principles. 1, impressive or by default unimpressive. I'm going to explain them all in depth after this. 2, ambiguity is our enemy. 3, we will lead with facts, not emotion. 4, perception is reality. 5, we will be proactive, not reactive. And 6, we will lead by example. So be impressive, not unimpressive. Unimpressive means people don't return. They're like, hey, I took the food out. I did everything I was supposed to do. It's like, yeah, my shoes are tied. I'm a success, right? It doesn't matter. We need to break them of, I did everything right. It's like, no, you didn't go above and beyond. Therefore, you weren't impressive. Therefore, we suck. We need to impress that upon their brain. Ambiguity is our enemy. We're like, well, she shouldn't have done that. She should have known better. Why should she have known better? Did you make it known? Did you explain it with absolute clarity? Well, I mean, the staff should know I like them. I'm always joking with them. They don't. The staff should know what they do to do. They don't have a list in front of them. Well, they've done it before. This is what we have to kill with leaders. The assumption of ambiguity being okay. Murphy's Law, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. Also, goals versus dreams. If our goal is to have a defined plan, then we have to have that plan of action. A dream is hoping it gets done. Lead with facts, not emotion. This is really important. I say this a lot to managers. If they're like, she's just always late. I'm like, do it again, but this time factually. She's been late 4 out of 10 times this month. That's facts, not emotion. I just can't get you guys to do anything right. Emotion. So don't be mean. Socratic method. Asking questions to get to their answers. So then we have a workbook activity here. Lead with facts, not emotions. Look at situations below. Now, I want you to put in situations for your own brand of that you would want it to be. Do not lead with facts, or don't lead with facts, not emotion. So give an example of a food item, give an example of people being dramatic, and then have them change it. All right. Perception is not intense reality. No matter what the leader tries to communicate, how hard they work behind the scenes, and all the work that's done, no one knows about the team. What the team believes is real is real. Even if it's not the truth, People will believe it is, and their response to the situation is what becomes reality to them. To combat this, leaders must manage their image to the team. Leaders may not always be liked, but they must be respected. Then proactive, not reactive, and inspection versus exception. So proactive, not reactive means, hey, we're going to be busy tonight, so we're going to prep out items. Not like, oh man, we got so busy. Like, yeah, it's Friday. You're going to be busy. Why are you not planning for that? I equate it to the teacher that gave you a pop quiz versus the teacher that you knew you could just slide on all year. So we got to be like the pop quiz teacher. And then lead by example. People hate hypocrisy. In order to build a strong team, staff members need to care about what leadership says and does. They need to know that any task given can be done by the person who's giving that task, and that they would be willing to do that task, and that they might even be able to do that task better than them. Solid leaders are dependable. Bad leaders don't do what they say. Solid leaders create solutions. Bad leaders create excuses. Solid leaders own their mistakes. Bad leaders blame others. Again, my coaching to all of you who deliver this training is to stop after every one of those sentences and have a conversation with those that you are training about what that means to them, and have them restate an example as they understand it of how they could use that in their life or when they've had that happen. If someone's like, yeah, everyone does this wrong, I do it great. Challenge the people who are being cocky in your training to be like, okay, but when have you gotten it wrong? I've never gotten it wrong. Well, you just proved my point. You have to admit that you get things wrong for it to work. Actual management concepts, or additional, I apologize. Care, be genuine, have passion, exploit pride, not labor, and work for the company, not yourself. Go into each one of these, and I suggest you put your own additional items in here. This training is a framework. I want you to zhuzh it up with your personality. I repeat, I want you to clean this up and make it scream you wrote it. I've given you a framework. This care, be genuine, have passion. Spread this shit out. Right? Hey, I remember my first job where I didn't care, blah, blah, blah. Write a story. Make this come from you, the owner, because when it does, there will be more buy-in from them. Conclusion. Now that the 6 leadership principles at your restaurant have been identified, it's important for managers to know that they will face many challenges in their role. While challenges may come at any time, these principles serve as a moral compass and help enable leaders to demonstrate professionalism to the highest degree at all times. Ultimately, this will help your restaurant continue a reputation of success for our team and in turn our customers. Notes. Then we get into part 2 that we will talk about next week. You can read ahead. And to those of you who are like, hey, I got to trade someone right now, take this document and run with it. Schedule your first day of training. But remember, slow is fast, fast is slow. If you try and pound through this whole document in one day, you will not get to what you want. All right. I'm going to go back up and look at any notes that I got here. All right. While I'm reading your notes, anyone have any questions about this document or comments or about the training in general? Yes, Charlie.
Buddy, I want to say a huge thank you. This is the world to us right here. So I just wanted to come on and, man, huge thumbs up. This is what we're needing. This is what we're looking for. This has made the value of this program 100% right here. This is what we needed. Seriously,
Well,
I
I'll
can't
take
say it
it.
enough. Thank you.
I almost feel bad now because I was like, this is superfluous, but all right. Well, awesome. What they need to hear is versus what they want to say. Very cool. I appreciate it. Impressive were by default unimpressive, and perceptions, 9 reality become principles for our entire staff. And two, yes, there's a note up there. This is the basis of 2 chapters in my book. Like I wrote this over, starting in 2008 and kept cleaning it up. And then that's what went into the book, which, not for nothing, is a 5-year anniversary today of when the book came out. I'll take the birthday of the book, which I'm happy to celebrate with all of you right here. Piper, can you talk more? Can you talk more about how to coach newly promoted managers around leaders must manage their image to their team? What are the details about this and how to talk to folks about it? And that is covered in the next part, because the first part is mindset of the self. The next section is talking and communicating to staff. So I'm going to the whole 4 parts. 1 is the leadership theory. 2 is communicating down. 3 is their day-to-day operationals. 4 is extenuating circumstances. Part 4 is going to be the fastest one for us to talk about as a group, because it's going to require you detailing in depth what most restaurant management would be, which is just the, hey, close the drawer. When the health department shows up, do this, blah, blah, blah. So what I will give you a taste of it though. Leaders must manage their image to their team. Means if you are used to hanging out and partying with your staff, you have to stop, or else you're going to be an ineffective leader. You need to realize that starting today, you being a kick-ass employee doesn't matter. Your worth is in having them be great, not you be great. And that is a disconnect that some employees turn into managers never make it. I've also have some employees who are just lazy, but they're shit hot at delegating. So they're great managers. Who knew? Like, some people put their head down and work their ass off. Some people are really good at delegating. The delegators are better managers. And if they can get people riled up and stoked about life, they're the best leaders and managers. All right, Patrick, thank you very much for the kind words. Carmela, is this applicable for managers who have been in their position for a while? Absolutely, but have plateaued. That's a conversation that you should have. And let me finish this. But the best way to get them on board, if they think that this is the type of training, isn't, let me say this again. Best way to get them on board if they think that this type of training isn't as important as I do. All right. So that is a very particular question about a very particular person, Carmela. Who is being a negative Nelly for you?
I don't know if it's necessarily one person in particular, but we've had some people in management for a few years now. And I would say they are open to the idea of a lot of the things I'm doing in this course, but I don't think that they are embracing the growth that we need. I think that they're kind of scared of like they're more just about the grind, kind of what you're saying, that people who put the head down, they'd rather work the line and not grow themselves. And I'm trying to pull them out of that and let them know that we could be better. But they're very hesitant to be on board with any type of change. I think it really just comes down to change, and they don't want to do that.
Yep. So here's how we're going to break that down. First off, almost all employees are going to be opposed to change, at least not the forward-thinking ones. So know that going in. That's okay. So to break this, it's a Socratic method conversation. Like, hey, what's your thought on us doing this leadership training? Well, I think we're already pretty good at it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you want to do it, it's fine. Like, I do. Here's why I think it matters. I want us to progress, but I also want this to be of value to you. So I believe if we can get this going, we could do so. In your situation, you got to call out, like, you guys aren't open 7 days a week. If we could grow this restaurant to be open more days a week, that means I could pay you more. But I need to know that this place could operate without me here. Do you believe you have what it takes to operate this place without me here all the time? Well, yeah. All right. Well, I need to know that everything I know to be true, you represent. Does that make sense? Yeah. Do you have any opposition to that? No. What do you think? What's your best version of this restaurant? Well, blah, 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 blah. And it needs to align. Like, well, mine is that we have this many days open at this much profit. Now, the more profit I get, we do this. It basically, my emphasis here is ask a lot of questions to hear their apprehensions. They'll either establish something that's viable, or more likely than not, it's going to sound stupid. It's just going to be like, well, why do we need it? Like, because why does a 1-year-old need, or a first grader need to learn how to read or write? You know, all I do is watch TV. I don't need to learn how to read. Like that's how dumb that notion is, that I don't need to progress in my business. But going back, everything I want you to say has to be to their benefit. If we're open more or if we're more efficient, I could pay you more. If I could do this, then we could do that. Da, 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 da. When staff don't want more staff or when they don't want to do anything different, it screams that they're comfortable and they want to hold you hostage. They're afraid that if other people develop skills, that they are going to become not as viable. That's a scary thought, whether overtly or subconsciously. So we have to fight that notion. Ryan, I've experienced with this and implementing this program. It takes consistent reiteration. Thank you, Piper, for the 5 years. Yeah, Ryan, what was your note? Or what were you gonna say? Ryan, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. No, I was just gonna say I have some experience with this. We're making 5 years this year. I think we're a little over a year into the program, which I'll admit I'm a little behind on completing, but we have implemented pieces of this. Specifically, I mentioned up top, we read chapter 5 and 6. I've read it probably like 20 times with my staff, but truly, we took kind of some people stuck in their old ways. I told them I was doing this program, told them what I was getting out of it, told them we're going to read this book together. We read it together, and then, it just took like meeting once a week after week, making consistent effort really to focus on some of these principles and just talk about how we implement that and apply that over what we're doing, right? And just with that consistency over time, my managers are now telling me the things that I was coming to them, right? Like, if we're not impressive, I don't even have to say that, right? Like, I'll just say, like, what's the saying now? And they all repeat it back to me, right? Or I'm walking in the kitchen now and like their mantra back there is get shit done, right? Um, and again, it just kind of just took sort of consistency and like you're saying, the people that want to grow and want to be there and want to do it, they're going to jump in with you. And sort of the bad actors will make themselves known too. But I do think there is an ability to kind of teach some old dogs some new tricks. Again, I think I think as Charlie mentioned, look, you got a lot of gold in here. And I think it's doable,
Very cool. I really appreciate everyone. I'm going to keep plugging through here on any questions. I'm glad everyone's appreciating this, and I look forward to the next 3 weeks going over the rest. Qualifies the stuff that struggle with communication. We had a situation Friday that was a learning experience with my managers and the lack of a plan, which was frustrating, but I did not freak out. I organized everyone and asked them to describe what I just did. Very good. Almost half of my managers think it's all right to be ambiguous. Always find excuses to do to things that they don't do. They think I ask too much of them sometimes. And then when we get them saying that, it's like, okay, why do you feel that way? Blah, blah, blah. So you think I shouldn't want you to be better? Well, I didn't say that. Okay, so what are you saying? I don't know. Like the questions put out on the table, the level of, for lack of a better term, stupid, or the lack of logic that's out there. We always tell every level of staff to be like fruit, be green and growing. Once they are ripe, feel as if they are at their petulant level, they are dying and they are starting to lose value. That's great. I love that. Christina, one of the best things I implemented in promoting anyone was having them read our Audible on Slice. I had some seasoned team members that were a little sketchy to change, and hearing my perspective backed up everything I was doing. Well, I appreciate it's a big love fest for me today. Jesus, guys. I'm Irish Catholic. I'm not used to all this adulation. All right. I don't have many managers. I'm a general manager. I have 2 supervisors. With this book, Cam, yeah, you got 2 people that you want to run that place on your behalf. You got to have them locked and cocked, doing it your way. And like, I love having leaders. I want all staff is going to fall into 2 categories: Mustangs or mules. A Mustang, you got to rein in. A mule, you got to kick in the ass. I want to train the Mustangs to drive the way I want them to drive. Thanks for explaining the dynamic of comfortable employees trying to take management hostage by resisting new staff and procedures. You are very welcome. I've had that in droves. Like I remember when I had just the dumbest things where it's like, yeah, we're gonna do new menu items. Why are you doing a new menu? The current menu's fine. Like I'm owning this restaurant and I want to have it a little bit more robust and get rid of like why are you gonna get rid of that item? There's that lady on Tuesday who likes it, and you're just getting combative stuff. You're like, okay, hold on. Everyone gather around. You all have the assumption that we're on the same level. Your house is not on the line. Mine is. So we're gonna do whatever the fuck it is that I want to do. And if you want to put a house on the line and open a restaurant, you go ahead and do that. Now, if you have a legitimate reason why we shouldn't do it, I am here for it. Please tell me. So, and then there just isn't. Another thing to watch out for managers that want to hold, or not even managers, but employees that want to hold you hostage, they will try and not have you hire more people. They will try and not develop themselves because that could mean that someone else is developing that could take their job. And the third one, and this is the worst one, I haven't brought it up before, is that they will hold pay hostage, i.e., well, I'll do that if you pay me more. Never, ever, 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 ever go down that road. They should prove their worth and then get more money, not, hey, if you want me to do that, pay me more to start with. It can't be, again, a hostage negotiation. Now, I'm not saying if they're doing like, hey, I would love to do all that. And if I take on more roles, and more responsibilities, then I'm great to do that. But if they're not doing their current job and they're like, well, if you want me to do that, you're gonna have to pay me more. It's like, that's not how we work. I had a lead do that this week after we had a conversation about his tardiness. It's like, you want me to show up on time, then you got to pay me more. Is that what they did, Bruno?
Yeah. So like he's been a lead and he was promoted. Um and he's a great cook. He's been there for a few years, but we've given him responsibilities, but this guy cannot up on time. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And we've had this conversation 2 weeks ago, be like, hey, you really have to show up on time, you know? We've given you responsibility. You have to show your staff that you're willing to be the person that is the example. And I forgot how we got here about the money situation. He texts my area person, I'm not going to do this anymore for a minimum of, 12, unless it's $1,200 a week. I'm like, you can't get here on time, and you're asking for like a $400 a week raise? Like, come on, dude. So we're already making plans that this is probably not going to work out. It's
Yeah.
not really appropriate.
My dad said it sticks in my head very much so. When I had one of my first conversations, I asked my dad, who's a very prolific leader, what do you do when people want to raise, Dad? And he said, my immediate reaction is always, I absolutely want to give you a raise. They would give me nothing, no more joy could I have in life than to give you more money. But for that, I need to have this basic, and then I could happily do that. So achieve that, and then you've proven worth to the company that I could do that for you. Like I want to pay you more right now, but I can't with what you're doing today. It doesn't make any sense, right? Yeah. So do this, and then I can make both of us happy. And that's the reframe I always liked. So every time any customer or employee has any issue, it's always, I want to do that. I want to do this for your benefit. I don't want to move ahead of the company. Well, I can do all this for you when we do that. So you're stopping this greatness from occurring. All right, lots of good stuff. Let me finish these other two notes, and then we go into the questions. For this training, the managers will need to put in some hours, but some will mention that they don't want to work more than 40 hours a week. I tell them that I also want to bust, but I do think that they can organize themselves to not exceed the 40th hour. But sometimes they need to do more. And you just got to say, okay, hey, Monday or whatever day you have 2 hours towards it. Like get as far as you can and say, hey, we're dedicating 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours per week to this training. I like to do it in 4 sections, but if it becomes 12 sections, so be it. And you have staff that doesn't want to break 40 hours a week and get overtime. If they can't because they have some commitment, that makes sense. But that's it. All right. Let's get into the questions. A local business recently approached me about collaborating. They run a children's recreational center where kids play and jump around and host birthday parties. I'm interested in finding ways we can create a partnership that's mutually beneficial. Some initial ideas: exchanging coupons, displaying signage to promote each other's businesses, or offering catering for their parties. Do I have any suggestions on structuring this kind of partnership? What types of offers or arrangements have you seen work in similar situations so both sides benefit? This is an interesting question. I want to answer it quickly but efficiently, in the sense that this is a kids group. It's not going to be a lot of revenue. This quickly can become a marketing play that if you cover your base and just don't lose money, it's a win. Feeding kids and being in front of a new business, super viable. So then it's like, what's the minimum you need to make to not lose money? And then just make that as your minimum. If you could make anything on top of that, that's cream. And that means easy money, because this is a pure marketing play. If they want to do a collab and they have a children's rec center and kids are going to love your business, that means if you really get kids to love your business and they're like, where do you guys want to go tonight? And again, for us, that's why I make kids feel like gold. And it's not just crayons and paper, but giving them dope and at the Andolini stores. At my fine dining restaurant, I don't want kids there, so I do nothing for kids there. And then at the other locations, there's other fun stuff that we want the kids to have. So if you're trying to parlay it into kids, make it as much fun as possible. That's the hierarchy of value. As much fun as possible. And then, oh, I need to make, if we're feeding 30 kids, I need to make $70. Great. Get that done and you're fine. And then don't worry about the particulars. This is planting seeds. Marketing is planting seeds, and you plant a little bit of seeds. Don't also spend too much time on this. It should just be like, it's a lot of fun. We're making money. Next thing. And try and do as many of them as possible. Next question. I have a question about a pariah. In this sense, in Partners versus Pariahs, I have a butter pariah. Anne represents a big enterprise that imports a brand of butter and cheese that I want for my products. Anne told me that to work with a specific vendor, but the vendor sells the butter at $10.47 a pound or a kilogram. Essentially, this is a UK rate. I found another vendor that sells it for $7.97. Anne asked me about the vendor's prices, and I told her that I needed a better price for the product. She told me that $10.47 is a reasonable price. I told her that I found a better price at $7.97. She asked me to show her that estimate because she couldn't believe it to be true. At first, she was surprised, and then she insisted that I send her the estimate. I didn't want to, but I did. On the other hand, her price on some other items is very good. What do I think about the situation? So let's take a step back. This is a partner versus pariah question. Let's say you have an item, it's at $11, and someone else has the item at $8. And they're like, well, we can't sell it for $8. Where are you getting it for $8? Now, if this is an item that you're buying, $10,000 worth, and it's a $3,000 a week loss, then we need to be like, hold on, guys, we need to fix this. Now, let's say it's just an off-handed item that you buy all of 5 pounds of, and it's a $10 a week issue. And then their other prices are worth X. So my first point here is take all emotion out of the mix and find in dirty math, straight up basic ass math. If their cheese price is so awesome, but their butter price sucks, what are you actually saving in their good price a week versus this price? Some people just have good relationships and get better pricing. Now, what more likely than not is happening is that they are reducing the price of certain big items and then trying to make their margins on other items. And I don't play these games at all. I would say you would go to the more expensive on this product person and say, hey, why is it so much cheaper with them? Well, that's worth about like $30 a week. Is that really the best price you could do? And they're like, yeah, it is. I'm like, well, I need it to at least be in the same range as them, or you would understand why I got to switch that product. Now, I don't want to nickel and dime my prime vendor if it's $10 or $15. If we're talking hundreds of dollars, I'd say, listen, I want to stay with you, but you got to do something here. They're way better. I mean, you can understand I have a fiduciary duty to my restaurant to get something that's at least, if you get to 850 or 9, I can play ball, but a $3 difference, come on. And like, yeah, you're right. Now, here's the caveat that we got to with our company about 5 years ago. We said, screw all your pricing games. I don't give a shit. Here is our revenue. Here is our purchases. Here is our food costs for the week. If all in, all chemicals, all things that we do, and you know we're not dumbasses who are being super wasteful. If we come in under 30, like 29% or less, we're never going to hit you up on pricing. But every week you're going to see that email of where we landed. And I don't give a shit what you have at the price. If we're above 30%, your job as our vendor is in jeopardy. So simply put, like, you can play all the pricing games you want. We have 30% of whatever we're spending that you have, that you're the prime vendor of. We'll negotiate down on certain prices here and there, but I'm not going to cut my nose to spite my face. If we're under 30%, especially when we're under 25%, I don't care if you jack the price of butter up $50 above. As long as I'm under 25%, because all the other stuff is making sense, we're Gucci. The second that deviates, I'm going to the dance and looking for a new dance partner. Now, not all of you are probably in that position. I just want to be clear, that's what we do. All right, I'm going to answer the next one. Quick question about ordering uniforms, tees and hoodies. How many do I give each team member? I give them 2 shirts when they get hired and a server apron to any front of house person. Or for Proximo or fine dining restaurant, they get all the uniform standards, and then they get a gorgeous midnight blue apron. And then do I buy from a local vendor or order uniforms online? Almost all uniforms are purchased locally because I can get them on the fly and I'm not paying a lot of shipping costs. With that said, if like the Proximo fine dining aprons, those are bought in bulk once a year. But all t-shirts and things, get with someone who's local, who digs you. Get a good price on a shirt. Make sure they have all your art specs. Make sure they do your art for free. And then you'll get some free art designs. And if you really like their art designs, maybe you could use it in other places. Or hopefully they could take, if you love that shirt, you can put it on a cup or something else. But getting a local company that's a branding company that could do a t-shirt and a backpack and and whatever, everyone should have those. And find one that digs you. And if they're not, and I make sure that any company I work with has all my art, has an artist that they pay that I don't pay on retainer or in-house, and that they invoice me monthly and that they deliver to my location at no shipping charge. So that means that they pay for it to get shipped to them and they drive that stuff over to me as part of what we do for me to guarantee them all the business. That's my deal that I've worked out. If you guys can pull that off, great. There's other companies that will do an employee store where you can give them the 2 shirts, and then there's a store where they'll pay $7 a shirt. So essentially what you would pay, and it's a print to order, and then they'll deliver it to the restaurant for them to have, and it's completely out of your realm, which I also like those deals as well. If you could find a local print shop that does that, that's a pretty sweet gig. It takes it off your plate. Next question. We have great employees, personality, efficiency, hard work ethic, all that. But we struggle with the same issue with the restaurants, lateness. We want them to come 10 minutes before their scheduled time because of work ethic. But they keep coming in on the dot, or some come late by 10 or 20 minutes. Now, we've talked about it with them, writing up leads to us firing them. We don't want that because they are powerhouses. I know we're supposed to set the example, but is that the only way? What can we do to eliminate this bad habit? First off, if you're scheduled at 5 p.m., if I see a schedule that says 5 p.m., then I am saying, hey, employee, we have a social contract that you will be there before 5 p.m., clocked in, ready to work. If you want to show up at 4:45 and drinking water, or I don't give a shit. I don't care. I don't like that rule at all. If it says 5, be ready at 5. I don't care if you should roll in at 4:59 and flop your body together. But if you walk on the line good to go, we're good. So there's that one thing. Because I don't think it's a fair expectation to say it says 5, but I really mean 4:50. That's not fair. Now, if it says 5 and they walk in at 5:10, be like, hey, what's going on? Oh, sorry. God, if you're late, I got to write you up. Well, I had traffic. Okay. Or I can't get here any earlier than 5 because I have school. All right, I understand. Let's fix the schedule. But that is a social contract that says you have the expectation I'm going to pay you. I have the social expectation that you're going to show up on time. If you don't, you put your job in jeopardy. Are we clear? If you're going to be late, all you got to do is text or call, or there's some protocol. And it should be once in a blue moon, but they should be able to say, hey, running late, traffic, crash in front of me, dog died, whatever it is. And then rules are meant to enhance your ability to lead. If you're firing people over dumb shit, those rules are not serving you. Yes, staff should not show up late, but you should also not cut your nose to spite your face if they're powerhouses. I'll put up with some level of prima donna behavior if I'm getting Kobe results. Not a ton, but some. With that said, Christina, do we have anyone to introduce this week?
We do. Michelle, did you introduce yourself last week? I know you just sent a funny emoji.
Yeah, we're actually two Michelles here, but we weren't on the call last week.
Right on. Well, I would love for you to introduce yourself, where you're from, and just meet the group.
Okay, so y'all you guys see me and hear me. So Michelle, I'm from Montreal, Canada. So French speakers here. English is actually our third language. So we're stoked to be here, and the questions about leaderships, it's all us. We're too nice, but we have great passion about the business, and this is actually a lot of this is very helpful for us. So we're glad to be here.
Well, welcome.
Very
I'm
cool.
stoked to have you in. And then Dustin over in Ohio. Love to have you introduce yourself.
I'm Dustin Gazzoni from my restaurant's name is Jimmy Nino's. I'm in Northeast Ohio. It's mostly a pizza shop, but we have a full bar, and I'm excited. This is everything I'm looking for, Mike. So this is going to be amazing. We got to get this thing going in the right direction.
I agree. Game on. Christina, who we have Bruno, have you introduced yourself to the group?
No, I have not. Hello.
By all
Well,
means.
hey, Bruno. Yeah, introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Bruno. I own Pizza Bruno in Orlando, Florida. We have 3 locations. My oldest is 10 years this year, and then I have a 3-year-old restaurant and a new one that's about a year and a half. We do new Neapolitan pizzas at 2 locations, and 1 location is sort of a ode to my childhood of growing up in Jersey. But this program for me is about kind of dialing in a little bit more of the finer points of management, leadership, trying to find stuff that will help me bring these stores to the next level, because as we know, restaurants are a constant work in progress, that constant learning, adjusting, trying to find new ways of doing things. So that's why I'm here.
Awesome. Very, very cool. I'm very glad you're here. I'm glad that we could keep getting this message of how to do this the easier way to everyone. Anyone that we're missing, Christina?
Yep, we have the other Michelle, Lynn.
Michelle, you there?
You are muted, my friend.
You got it? All right, Michelle, let's try it next week, okay?
It might be a
I'm
Bluetooth
gonna,
thing.
and I got a few more things that we're gonna say and wrap up on. I want to go through the rest of these questions and then I have one last thought. So I have an employee great line seems to be insecure to new employees that have potential. Always an indirect negative comment, gossip, or something else. Great cook, but not a great team member. Call that shit out. Like, hey, what'd be great is if there's a few different ways to go about it, but say, hey, what is your negative? Like, oh, they don't do it right. Right. They don't do this right. They don't do this right. Like, great. I agree. They don't. Wouldn't it be awesome if they did to make the shift go quicker? Well, yeah. Okay. I'm going to judge you from here on out by how good they are. If they suck, it's on you. I'm like, well, no, that's not fair. Like, it's totally fair. Do you want them to be better? So do I. I'm going to hold myself to that. I'm holding you to it. And we are both going to judge each other on how much success they have because our success is now determined by their success. You do it great. I don't care. They do it great. That means you're awesome. Are we clear? And that'll usually wake people up. Christina, do their birthday parties go hard in the paint on birthdays? Yes, for sure. Victor, I struggle at the moment with keeping any front of house management. Most of them have stepped down to be servers because they feel the pay is not adequate. Making pay the ultimatum, I'm down to one. I mean, if they're killing it on server wage, then manager wage, first off, a lot of managers don't realize how there's a few ways to handle this. Most managers don't know how much they're actually making when you add in benefits and the other things. So you got to write it on a board like this is how much you're going to make, and this is how much. And then a server who got a $300 tip in 2019 will always be like, I make $300 a night. And they don't. You're like, I qualified all the money you make. You basically stand to make this much in guaranteed money or this in hourly. Now, if it genuinely is more in hourly and they're like, I'm making blank a year doing it hourly with this, and that's what I have to get to manager, then you got to zhuzh it up or say, hey, if we create an average ticket value that goes above this, you as my manager, I will pop you $1,000 a month or whatever it takes for that value to be there. And if you increase average ticket value, it'll be worth it. So you got to make it worth their while. But first is get clarity on how much they were getting paid as a server and how much they really stand to make as a bonus with benefits manager with a set schedule, especially if they're trying to build a life. You know, the 20-year-olds are like, oh, give me as many hours and let me get out of Dodge. The managers who want to build a life and build a career in their 30s will start to look at it differently. Victor, does that help? And Fredo completely backed it up because we've had this conversation so many times. Yeah.
No, you're good. No, yeah, it makes 100%, and I've had those discussions and I think that's what we run into. A lot of it is the ones that were in management positions that stepped down. They weren't here to create that life we're talking about. They're not here to settle in. And so I think that's what a lot of it is too, is it's not just about pay. I think it's more about where they're at in life. I think some of them have other plans to move forward. This isn't their final destination. The other ones, like you said, are young. They're in their 20s and they're just like, they see these other girls running around making money and they're just like, I'm not too worried about us a solid schedule or a foundation. They're like, I'd rather just make some money right now. And I'm like, okay. So I think that's, where we're at.
Yeah, the youthful ones, it's a problem. You want to find people that are growing into it. I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to answer the rest of these questions, but I want to take a moment and say this. First off, thank you to so many of you that wrote or sent in really kind testimonials with the program. It helps us get this message out to more people. I'm putting in Reagan's, has this phone number here because many people were doing a testimonial last week that did not send. So if you are, especially if you're on iMessage, and you did your testimonial, or if you want to do one today, because there's more people on this call than there was the week we did this, what the ask is simply put, say, hey, I'm blank and blank restaurant, and since we did on Slice, it did this. Like, I don't need a 30-minute thing. I need it just straight eye to eye, 10 to 30 seconds, and hit send. Nothing over a minute. If you guys, right after this call, would be so kind, I would mean the world to me and this program. If you have if you're like, I suck on camera, you don't. I look bad, you don't. No one will like what I have to say, we will. So any apprehensions you have, please, and just do that for us. It would mean the world to us. All right. Going back up. We didn't cover COGS module. The 30% is food costs, labor should be under 30. So together, prime cost is 30 food, 30 labor, under 60%. So do I do that with one vendor or multiple? You want to have, my perfect setup is always to have one vendor that's at like 90% of food purchases, and then maybe one or two others that are splitting up the other 10%. So you're always keeping it honest, always having a reference point, always having a backup, but really going all in on one vendor. Okay, Toby?
So with my struggle is I kind of pigeonholed myself with the two vendors I have. So one vendor I get my cheese from, and they're the only ones that can do my cheese blend. And then I've got another one that, you know, only has certain items. So like each of them only have certain items. So under what you're saying of like going to your vendor and be like, I don't care about what you up the price, you know, as long as it stays at this, how would you do that with multiple vendors that you kind of rely on?
You have a full deep conversation over every single item that you have. Like, hey, I want to grow this relationship. Do you? Yeah. Well, I buy this from them. What would it be if you guys had it? How long would it take for you to have it in stock? How blah 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 blah. See who wants the business more. And we're like, yeah, we can get that. We can get that. We can get. We want to be in the business of you. Then great, they win. If the other guy's like, I don't know. I mean, like, I can't get that, or you should probably go with them for that. Or like, listen, this is not a big enough account for us to hit that price. Then okay, they just proved their point. One of them's going to win in that interview.
Okay.
And then to all you got negative Nellies, people with stinking thinking, you got to call it out. Say, hey, again, this is all in the training that we're going to deep dive in next week with the communication to the lead. So I think you're going to really enjoy that. If you want to read ahead, you're going to say, you know, I like that you haul ass on the line. I like that you know all the recipes. I like that I don't have to worry about this when you're here. But you know what I don't like? That you are opposed to anyone else working here with you. They're like, no, I'm not. Like, well, the pattern of behavior, you did this. Did you not? Yeah, I did. You did this. Did you not? You did this. Did you not? Okay. How is that growing the business? Well, I just think blah, 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 blah. Listen, do you think if they're good that it somehow makes you look bad? And then they're gonna be like, well, no. I'm like, well, it sounds like you do. If I bought a Louis Vuitton purse, does that make a Coach purse less viable? It's a bad reference. Or a car or something high end. Like a high end thing doesn't care about the low end thing. Any team, do you think Tom Brady's like, hey, don't get good, you know, halfbacks and running backs? I want to be the star. No, we want a team. You need good players. That makes you look good. You can't be getting the Super Bowl ring without A players. They have to leave their solo God complex and become a team member. And then it's asking questions like, am I wrong? Or does that make sense? Or what do you think about that? And not leaving the conversation till till one, they admit they're surly assholes, and two, that they're going to do something about it. All right. So we're ending on surly asshole. Socratic method is massive. And facts, we have a mainliner, but we are actively talking to 3 other mainliners to see what they could do. Food costs. Michael, you have questions about the lateness? Do you want to hash that out quickly?
Yeah, so quickly, like we did what you did. Like you know, you're always late, you know, you have to work on the you're scheduled at 5, you have to work at 5. But they're like, yeah, we know. Why are you coming late? I don't know, because of this, because of that. Okay, so just come on time. And what happens is that the pattern continues. It becomes the same thing again and again. Whenever they're great persons, we don't think about firing them because they work well. And they'd be like, what does it matter 5 minutes after? Like, what does it matter? Is the job still getting done? We're like, yeah, but and we like results, but I don't know. Should we accept that? Like a
No,
tolerance of like
I don't
10
like if
minutes,
they're
5 minutes?
combative. All right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna role play it. You're gonna be this kid. I'm gonna be you. What's and give me the hold on. Give me the can you hear me?
Yeah.
AirPods. And to anyone who has to jump off, again, if you could do that testimonial, just quick 30 seconds, even if you haven't done the program for, just say, here's one thing Unsliced has done for me. I don't want anyone to be inauthentic. Say something that's done. I would very much appreciate it. All right, so here's the role play. What's the name of the employee, Michael?
It's Shad.
Chad?
Shad, yeah.
Chad or Chad? Okay.
It's
Perfect,
Shad with
Chad.
an S.
Oh, God, of course it is. All right. All right. Shad, were you late today?
Yeah.
All right. What's going on? Why have you been late 3 out of the last 10 shifts?
What do you mean? I've been coming on time.
All right. The last out of 10 shifts, I have 3 that you can see right here on the timesheet. You came late for. Am I wrong? Is that incorrect?
Yeah, but it's only like under 5 minutes.
I understand that. The expectation is that you are going to come in on time or before ready to rock. That's the expectation. Do you think that's an unfair expectation?
But it's still just 5 minutes.
I agree. It is. All I am asking is that you set the tone, that you take the job seriously and you show up early. This other thing you do, great. This thing, awesome. This thing, cool. But being late says, I don't know. It says I don't take the job seriously. Do you take this job seriously?
Yeah, I do.
I think you do too. So all I'm asking is for this one behavior change. Now, in fairness, Shad, is there anything that causes you to be late that I should be aware of? Do you have a location that you're too far from? Do you have anything with school? Do you have anything going on that this time is not doable for some reason?
I'm just tired.
Okay. All right. Well, I could buy you your own personal alarm clock, but shy of that, the ask is this. Keep all the good stuff, fix this one thing. What do you need from me to make that a reality?
Nothing really. I guess I just have to be a better person and get up on time and get in time, clock in time.
Now, at this point, I would probably say a joke like, I agree, Shad. If you're a good person, I want you to be a great person. But with that said, doing this small thing is the only ask because it says that we're setting the tone for the day. That's the thing I take seriously. You're never going to have a time where I don't get you your check on time or your money on time. I'm asking you show up on time. Because also people look at what you do, Shad, and you set the tone for other people. People look up to you. And I appreciate that about you. So I need you to exemplify what I'm trying to accomplish. Can you do me that solid?
Yeah,
Will this happen again?
maybe.
All right. What should we do if it happens again? Should I fire you on the spot?
Think so.
I don't want to. I don't think you want to either. So, but I have to set the stage. I have to set the tone and set the standard. The standard is an undocumented, unrequested. If you're going to be late, all I ask is you text me ahead of time. Fair enough? If you're going to be late more than 5 times in a month, you're setting the stage for you to fire yourself. And also, for what it's worth, all that good shit you did kind of goes out the window. So for just rolling out of bed an extra 5 minutes early, you're saying, I take the job seriously. That's all I'm asking. Is that an unfair ask?
No. Aren't you like being too harsh about firing me just for 5 minutes a day?
Do you think that it's hard? Have I fired you, Shad?
Not yet, but it's kind of harsh. Just 5 minutes. I still do the job. Still get the
I'm
shit
saying-
done.
I'm saying if you give me a text ahead of time and you do what you're asked, no, that's not going to happen. But if you are consistently late after this conversation, it says that I genuinely don't care about this job, and I have a bunch of other people who do, and that we're setting the standard to be a weak standard. And if that could be crappy, then this over here could be crappy, and that over there could be crappy, and that as well. I am never going to fire you. Your actions will end up promoting you to customer. But if you never do this, you'll never be fired here. I can guarantee you that.
Question.
Yeah,
So I'm not Shad anymore, but let's say
I got you.
Shad, we all know that finding employees, good employees is hard, that knows a lot of stuff, all the recipes, all the preps, that can have like a kind of like a semi-leadership that people look up to. We know that it's going to be hard to find him a replacement. Should we still do it at this
I would,
point?
so if he's that vocal, I would almost have fun with it and mock it and be like, all right, Shad, sorry. Then instead of 5 for you, I'm going to schedule at 4:55. So we're the same. And you could be happy. I'll allow you to be 5 minutes late. And I'll be like, you want that, Shad? Do you need that instead? Like, cause I'll abide by your tardiness and just schedule you 5 minutes earlier. And that way you can be 5 minutes late and we're all good. It has to be like ridiculous. And we're like, I'll get ridiculous with you if you want. But if you don't want to lose him, then don't lose him. But if you want to set the standard, then come at it from you must do this, but instead like, hey, can you help me out? You're really great. And I want you to be great in front of all these people. So can you be great in front of all these people? And I think that he will resonate with that message.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other questions on that?
No, thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
Very cool. Charlie, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, just quick, like there are some scheduling apps out there that will actually take in travel times and set the alarm and go off. So, you know, I know that's kind of petty and babysitting, but you can even make a calendar invite that says, you know, leave by travel time. And I know Androids and iOS will turn around and calculate out the travel time for wherever Shad lives so that it turns around and says, notify, you have to leave now. So, you know, if he's that good of an employee, then set him up a auto calendar schedule to import into his calendar, and it just automatically reminds him, leave now to be on time by 5 o'clock.
It's a very viable solution. Okay. All right. We went past today. Everyone, next week, part 2. Right now, I'm going to shut off the phone. And before 11:20 Central Time, if you have the gumption to send a video or the temerity or the awesomeness, it would matter a lot. If you don't, so be it. But if you're wondering if there's any voice in your head, also, this is good practice for all of you who are like, oh, I need to be doing social. Do it to me and get your sea legs about being on camera, because all of you will make more money the more safe and comfortable you feel on camera. All right, everyone, go out, kill it, take the manager training, run with it. We're going to keep developing it, and I will see you next week and in the community. Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you all.
Thank you.